Hey, good morning. It is I, your host, Bogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. It crashes. I can't stop it from crashing, so I'm gonna do it this way. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The morning time is good. The good time in the morning. I like mornings. Mornings are good. Of course, it would be better if I didn't wreck it for all my neighbors and be all loud. Sorry, guys. Man, I need a basement. I really need a basement to live in. Not to live in, but to, like, do my thing. A proper basement. A proper. So there, it's coming. It's coming up. It's coming. It crashed. You can't handle it. You know what it is, I think? Maybe I'm going to take out a mod. I have a mod that specifically handles the way chunks are loaded into the game, and I wonder if that's what's causing the game to crash, because it's just loading in chunks weird or something. I don't know. I'm speculating, trying to kill airtime. Hey, Swiftly Taken. Hey, good morning. You're here to witness the terrible beginning. It's always such a bad beginning to my show every time. So here, it didn't crash this time. Nice. Is it gonna crash? I'm gonna look on the other side. It doesn't appear to be crashing. Oh, but you know what it is that it lowered the view distance. That's why it's not crashing. So here, check this out. Options. You get to watch all the terrible beginning of when I'm working out stuff. Oh, 24, that's good enough. I mean, while I'm running OBS, that's fine. So good morning. I'm running the complementary shaders with the bonus pack. That's why I have fat clouds. Thick. They're thick clouds. They're thick. And yeah, it runs really nice. And the reason why I want it like this is because I too want to enjoy good frame rates while I play. I mean, even though I'm running OBS, I still want it to look nice, right? So I can't do it with the other shaders, but with this one, it's light enough that I can do both. So yeah, that's what I've done. I made this dude a shop to work in because he didn't have a place to work. He was working in the field. It was pretty bad. These two guys, unemployed. They're unemployed. They don't have a job. If they don't have a job, they can never reproduce. So, or maybe they can reproduce. I don't know. But like, I think it'd be cool to have a job, right? Wouldn't you want a job? I don't know. Maybe it's cool to stand around. Oh, these farmers are working it. So it's not like they need help. But I'm sure I can find it. I can make you another job somewhere. What does this town need? They have a brewer. The brewing stand in the church. What's up, guy? There's the brewer. Toolsmith, farmers. They got animals around here. Maybe I should get like this stream. Hey, Swiftly Taken. This stream will be about not really politics. It's about like what's going on, the news. Like sometimes it's about U.S. politics, but not always. Do you know what's happened in the past like couple hours, like 24, 48 hours? There's a war going on between Israel and Hamas. And like Hamas killed a shit ton of people in a terrorist attack. And now Israel's going all out. And like that's going to be awful. Like it's going to be awful. Like they're gonna invade Gaza, dude, and Gaza is a city of 2 million people. Try to understand. Like it's a city of 2 million people. 2 million people live in a tiny ass area, and the way Gaza is set up, that you can leave Gaza, but you can never go back to Gaza once you leave. The Israelis, the Egyptian border is closed to the Palestinians in Gaza, and on all sides of the remaining sides of Gaza, Israel has imposed a blockade. So they can't really go anywhere. They can't go anywhere. Or if they go, they can never, ever come back. So like leave their home forever. So if you're going to do a military invasion of that tiny place, those people, the civilians who have nothing to do with any of that, of the military stuff, they have nowhere to go. They can't run away. They can't flee. They just got to sit there and get bombed to hell. It sucks. And yeah, right, it's shitty for the Israelis too. Like, did you hear about that music festival that got like bombed? Like 200 people got killed at that music festival. Dude, and a bunch of like tourists got killed at a music festival. The whole situation there is shitty. And I am not an expert about the in that region. I can't really talk about it because I don't really know what's going on. I know a little bit, but I'm not enough to like say, yo guys, this is what's up. I don't know. I can't tell you what's up. Yeah, I can't tell you what's up in that region, dude. I'm not an expert. It's really complicated. That's not my area. Yeah. Do you hear me talk about how to work on car engines? No? You know why? Because I don't know a damn thing about car engines. So I don't talk about what I don't know. All right. Shh. You gotta be quiet, dude. It's Sunday morning. I know it's 8 o'clock, but still. All right. Yeah, dude, it's like it's crazy times, and we're in a moment where information is being used as a carrier of ill intent. Information is a weapon of war. So this show is sort of like a pulse. It's like it's a pulse of antibiotics, I guess. to break through the misinformation. Da da da. I mean, yeah, dude, I have all sorts of information if you wanna hear it, if that's what you're into. Oh. And that's what you're gonna get eventually. But it's important, right? Because we're in a particularly perilous time in the United States. Like, sure, it's particularly weird. Right now, there's no Speaker of the House. One of our allies is under attack. I mean, allies, I don't know, quote, is under attack, and we don't have a Speaker of the House. Like, how are we going to appropriate any, like, assistance if you don't have a Speaker of the House? You can't pass anything. You can't pass anything without a Speaker of the House. That's, like, the most basic thing. Like, are you even in control, a party in control, if you can't even elect the Speaker of the House? That's why the Democrats are like, yo, guys, hey, moderate Republicans, obviously your party is messed up in the head. Why don't you join with the rest of the Democrats and install a Democratic Speaker of the House? Just to get things done, since y'all can't do that. Reasonable, right? That's reasonable. The Republicans took like 17 votes the last time to get a Speaker of the House. they almost defaulted on the debt. They can't get anything done. And they just fired their Speaker of the House. And now they can't elect a new one. So it makes sense that they would, some moderate Republicans would join with the Democrats to elect Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House. It just makes sense. Just get it done. We have other things to take care of. Like, one of the things, okay, if you recall, one of the demands that Kevin McCarthy, the ex-Speaker of the House, one of his demands for passing a budget and keeping the government open, he's always looking for hostages. It's either the debt ceiling or keeping the government open, or who knows what, or a budget, or who knows whatever else. He's always looking for hostages to take, Kevin McCarthy. The last hostage he took was keeping the government open. He said, you're going to accept all these demands from the extremists in my party, or I'm going to shut down the government. And what are the demands of the extremists in his party? One of the demands was to stop aid to Israel, or not to Israel, to Ukraine. You're going to shut down the government just to stop aid to Ukraine? Now, I think people have a misconception. People have a misconception when they hear aid, when they hear USA is sending $500 million, $2 billion, to Ukraine. They think, people in America think cash money. That, oh yeah, like literally Joe Biden is signing a fucking check for $2 billion and handing it to Zelensky and saying, all right, have a nice day. They literally think that's what's happening. When no. No. Joe Biden does not literally hand $2 billion to Ukraine. He does not do that. What he does is he pledges and then fulfills those pledges for $2 billion worth of equipment, either equipment or $2 billion of credit. What can you do with that $2 billion of credit the USA just gave you, Ukraine? You can buy US goods, US weapons with it. That's what you can do with it. So all that money that we quote give them is all coming back to us anyways. And what are they buying off of us? They're not buying things we need. What they're doing is they're buying our excess inventory. We have a shit ton of excess inventory. Remember those two big ass wars we were in, Iraq and Afghanistan? We have a lot of equipment just sitting around. And it's not like you can just leave equipment sitting around, because it will deteriorate and turn to shit. That's what happens. Like, if you don't believe me, look at the Russian military. That's what they did. They inherited a ginormous stockpile of weapons and shells and whatnot from the Soviet Union, but they didn't maintain their stuff. So that's why they're hurting for gear and having to rely on North Korea for artillery shells. Because they let their stuff deteriorate. Remember how a little earlier I was talking about how Germany was all being slow about providing tanks to Ukraine. And then I was all getting harsh on Germany when I realized that's because Germany doesn't have a tank industry anymore. Like, they literally don't have the capacity to pump out the tanks. They can do specialized stuff like maintain tanks, but they no longer have the capacity in the economy to pump out the tanks. Damn, dude. So you're telling me a nation needs to maintain like the industrial capacity to pump out weapons of war even when it's not at war? Otherwise, because at the moment it is at war, it doesn't have the ability to just like suddenly ramp up and do it. Lesson learned. So USA is going to make a killing on the tank market. Like all these countries are buying US tanks because USA can produce them, because it still has a tank industry. And all those tanks get taxed. All those tank sales get taxed. So yeah. So again, the U.S. House of Representatives doesn't have doesn't have a Speaker of the House, so it is not able right now to assist Israel, even if it wanted to, because it doesn't have a Speaker of the House. And remember, the group that kicked out the Speaker of the House is the same group that wants to take away aid to Ukraine. Understand that Ukraine and Taiwan are basically the same thing. So you can look at one and make assumptions about the other. And the assumptions you can make is that Republicans would leave Taiwan totally defenseless if it were up to them, because that's what they want to do to Ukraine. In fact, their presidential candidate tried to blackmail Ukraine. Their number one candidate, Donald Trump, was literally impeached for trying to extort the president of Ukraine. Is that politics or is that world news, dude? Are those facts? Those just straight up facts. Politics is when you're talking policies. I'm just reviewing history. Here, let me get more coffee. Oh, man. Oop. So you have the leading presidential candidate has already been impeached for trying to extort Ukraine on behalf of Russia. You have the Speaker of the House threatening to shut down the American government unless the American government stops supplying the country that Russia is attacking. And again, we're not like literally giving them money. They're taking our old stuff. It's a good thing that they're taking our old stuff because it costs us money and energy to maintain them. Those strikers that we gave them, those big like wheeled, like ginormous wheeled, like six-wheeled like vehicles, we just gave them to us because they were just sitting around like costing us money. We have to house them. They can't be left out in the environment, else they'll get degraded by the environment. You have to maintain them. Like every month, a technician has to, or like a mechanic dude, somebody's got to go through, check the tire pressure. Every couple months, they gotta like rotate and change the tires because the rubber will go bad on them if you don't keep them moving and supple. Like you gotta like maintain the engines. You gotta maintain all that shit. You gotta run the engines every once in a while to make sure it keeps working, like, and keep the oil flowing. Like you gotta do all. So having a bunch of military equipment sitting around isn't free. It's not free. It costs us money to maintain that stockpile of old stuff, because if we don't maintain it, it turns to shit and becomes worthless. That's why it's $2 billion worth of equipment. They're not getting $2 billion of money. They're getting $2 billion worth of old equipment that we're costing us money to maintain. Now we don't have to pay the money to maintain it. We weren't even using it. Okay, hey Swiftly Taken, sorry if I'm like boring you, dude. Like if I'm not making sense, if you want me to talk about something in particular, let me know, dude. Like I don't want to just be talking blah blah blah. I'm like trying to build a narrative, but sometimes I like wander off. So, all right, well cool, man. If you can make it back, that'd be great. So it's a good thing that Ukraine has taken all our old equipment, because otherwise it would cost us money to maintain it. And we have a shit ton of it because we're just coming off of 2 big wars. So it's great. It's great. Like, it's like, what a great thing. We have, by getting rid of our old shit, we've managed to pretty much destroy the Russian military. Well, not us, but, like our allies. It didn't cost any American lives. It didn't cost any American money. We donated old stuff that we were going to get rid of anyways. That was costing us money to maintain. And because we've done that, now all our allies are going to get accustomed to U.S. Equipment, U.S. terminology, U.S. language, U.S. like systems, and so they will be more apt to purchase U.S. equipment in the future because they're trained on it. It's all their stuff. Like that's what they learned on. That's what they know. So yeah, they're going to keep using it. So now we've got customers for the future. I mean, it's kind of disgusting to think about. Because I'm like, I hate war. I hate war. But at the same time, I recognize there are nations that would totally enslave you. Or me. So so it's kind of a weird thing. So yeah, I don't want war, but at this so anyways, it's a good, what I'm saying is that it's not at all in a detriment to the United States to defend Ukraine. It's not costing us aid. We're not literally giving them cash. We're not taking away from Americans in order to supply Ukraine. Those things were already there, and it was costing us money to maintain them. By getting rid of them, it's doing us a favor. Those weapons are not going to the scrap heap, and they don't have to be maintained by us anymore. We don't have to, it's not our problem. Like, we don't need them right now. I'm looking at China. I'm thinking, man, six-wheeled Jeeps are not going to do us any good in an ocean war against China. So, anyways, wow. But so yeah, it's interesting because, like, today there's a massive war going on in Israel. It looks like Hamas is being supplied and funded by Iran. So Iran is also providing Russia with suicide drones that's just bomb places. So it looks like the Iranian government is like a pretty, I mean, its entire army is based on terrorism. Hezbollah is like a terrorist arm of the Iranian government. Well, I don't know if they're the terrorist arm. I don't know. They sound pretty bad. They use, but like, so the situation's bad, right? The situation's bad. Why didn't the Israelis know that they were about to be attacked? Like, how can it be a surprise to the Israelis when their number one foe that they're always watching does a surprise attack? How does that happen? How is that even possible? It sounds like a huge intelligence failure. Reminds me of another time there was an intelligence failure. This is May 15th, 2017. This was about the time I figured out Donald Trump was literally an enemy of the United States. This is when it became crystal clear to me. So this is what, 5 months after 4 months after he took office. Like, I mean, I kind of knew it, but at this point it was undeniable. Trump revealed intelligence secrets to Russians in Oval Office. Do you remember this time? Do you remember this? Trump kicked out all the Americans, all the American press. He kicked out all the American press and only let in the Russians. So the only pictures we got from this meeting are from the Russians. So President Donald Trump disclosed highly classified information to Russia's foreign minister about a planned Islamic State operation, 2 U.S. officials said on Monday, plunging the White House into another controversy just months into Trump's short tenure in office. The intelligence shared at a meeting last week with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak was supplied by a U.S. ally in the fight against the militant group, both officials with knowledge of the situation said. So the U.S. ally was Israel. So he's sitting there. Donald Trump kicks out all the Americans of the Oval Office. All the American press is kicked out of the Oval Office. Only these are pictures from the Russians. Only the Russians got to take pictures inside the Oval Office of the Russian meeting. You see that shit? Here's Donald Trump like inviting all these fucking Russians into the Oval Office. Where are the Americans, dude? All these Russians and one American president. What? Look at that shit. Look how happy Donald Trump looks. He looks so at ease. He doesn't look pressured at all. He's like he's amongst friends. Whenever you see pictures of Donald Trump, he's always wearing a scowl on his face. Like he's always trying to dominate people. Like he's always trying to like maintain his position. But when he's around the Russians, he's jovial. He's at ease. He is amongst friends. He's not nervous at all. There's no jockeying for position here. He knows his place. Look how happy he looks. Look how happy everyone is. What a great shot of Donald Trump listening intently to the Russian ambassador. Like, he's really taking directions from the Russians in this picture. You can tell. He's really listening. And look how at ease he is, shaking the hands of all these Russian people, dude. He's just so happy. How many pictures... Let me ask you, how many pictures do we have is out there? How many pictures are there of Americans, of American officials standing behind the desk of Vladimir Putin's office? Vladimir Putin sitting at his desk and an American standing behind his desk with him. How many pictures are there? There are zero. There are zero pictures. There are zero pictures. You know why? Do you know why there are zero pictures? Because there's no way in hell Vladimir Putin would ever let an American official in his office, let alone behind his desk. Never, never. If American officials were in his office in Moscow, do you think he'd be in there pretty much alone, outnumbered by all the Americans? Hell no. Hell no. The American would be put in their place. They would know where they stand while they're in Putin's office. But when you come to Donald Trump, do you see the difference in demeanor? He's amongst friends, right? These are his friends. He's not worried at all. He's not at all threatened by the Russians. They're his friends. In fact, he's in the position he's in because they helped him. So that's why the Russian officials get to stand behind the Oval Office desk alongside Donald Trump. They're close buddies. Donald Trump listens really, really intently to this dude here, Sergei, because he's the Russian guy and they're buddies, right? That's why he kicked out all the Americans. Look at him. Look how happy. Look how relaxed he is and how at ease he is. He's not trying to dominate. He's being friends. Look at that. Oh, gosh, he's just being so nice and explaining things. Look how jovial he is and relaxed. Oh, everyone's so happy. Donald Trump is not at all threatened because these guys are the ones who got him into office. Look at him. Oh my God. So relaxed. He's not trying to dominate anyone. Whenever you see a picture of Donald Trump, he's frowning. Trying to dominate. Trying to impose himself. Trying to put up a wall to defend himself. Not at all here. He doesn't need to defend himself against these guys. These guys are his friends. They're of all the same mind. Oop. Like, I hope you, like, I hope it's clear to you that Donald Trump that was in 2017. Donald Trump invited all those Russians into the Oval Office, and while he was there, he told them Israeli secrets. He told the Russians Israeli secrets. Now, why is that a bad thing? Because well, number one, you fucking betrayed an ally. The ally didn't tell the Russians. The Israelis didn't tell the Russians. You know why they didn't tell the Russians? Because the Russians weren't their friends. Well, at that time, I don't know. I don't know what's happened since then. But they weren't that way with the Russians. That's why it was a secret just for us, because we're friends. And Donald Trump went and told their secret to the Russians. It's like more than just a secret. Like, it also reveals methods. Like, oh, the only way the Israelis could have known that is if they have an agent inside the organization. Oh, that means they've infiltrated. Oh, that shows the capabilities. Oh, I wonder what other things we can connect with. What other information? Like, oh, we can this thing far away over there. Now we can explain it with this information we got from our friend Donald Trump. You see, like, it's such a betrayal. It's such a huge betrayal. Oh my God. Time and time again. And this is 2017. He's had so many more betrayals since then. When he literally tried to overthrow our government. So remember that Russia and Iran are buddies. They're friends. They share information all the time. The way we share information with our friends, they share information with their friends. So North Korea, Russia, remember when that U.S. troop, that U.S. like soldier in South Korea, like fled to North Korea? Do you remember that? They took him and pumped him full of whatever information they can get from him. And when they realized they couldn't get anything of any good information from him, they kicked him out. Ah! Dumbass. Any information they got, you can guarantee they gave to Russia. You can guarantee it. So, any information Donald Trump got, or any information that Donald Trump gave the Russians about Israel or the Russians turned around and gave it to Iran. Of course they did. Look, at Iran is supplying Russia with drones so it can continue to invade another country. They're allies, guys. They're allies. So it makes you wonder, dude, is this starting to turn into a world war? Now we got North Korea, Israel, Iran, like jumping in on the Russian side. Like China, they're not giving Russia like military stuff, but they're giving Russia other stuff. They may not be supplying military aid, but they're supplying all sorts of other stuff. And China really hasn't come out forcefully against the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Why not? Why wouldn't China come out forcefully against the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Because China, remember, Ukraine and Taiwan are the same thing. And China wants to use the same logic that Russia used. Russia is trying to say that Ukraine isn't a country, it doesn't exist, that it was always part of Russia, and Russia is just taking what's part of itself. China wants to say the same thing about Taiwan. China wants to say Taiwan, even though we never actually conquered it and we don't have any government presence there, it's ours anyways. And we want all the world to agree that it's ours, even though we haven't, like, even though the people on the island don't say that we belong to them, that we control them. So China is like ideologically aligned with Russia because they're doing the same thing. They want to invade their neighbor and give a bullshit justification for it. So Donald Trump gave information about Israel to Russia in 2017 in the Oval Office after he kicked out all the Americans, and then the Russians turned around and gave that to Iran, who used it against the Israelis. Oh man, I can't get over how bad is Donald Trump. Now remember, Donald Trump, how he stores U.S. secrets. Remember this? These are U.S. top secrets that Donald Trump stole out of Washington, D.C. and brought them to Mar-a-Lago, where he kept them in the shitter, in the bathroom. That's how Donald Trump keeps U.S. secrets, in the shitters. So the thing is that you can't trust Donald Trump at all. I mean, he's a traitor. He's absolutely a traitor, for sure. I mean, how many more ways do I have to show you? Like, it's got to be clear by now to you. You've got to see it. The only way you can't see it is if you're demoralized. Like that Russian propaganda technique, where you're not able to discern the truth anymore. Yeah, then if you're like that, then I don't know. But as long as you still have your faculties of reason, you are able to see with the evidence I've provided that Donald Trump is a traitor. Clearly. In contrast, look at Biden. Look what Biden did. Biden clears the way for the release of $6 billion in frozen Iranian funds as part of a prisoner swap deal. Now, the bad guys are trying to say, oh, Biden paid $6 billion to Iran in exchange for the hostages. No, that is bad framing. No, like you can't do that. Like there's a law against it that you can't like do business with Iran. So that didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. They want to, like, bad people want to try to make this fake frame and say that Biden literally paid money for the hostages, but that's not true. That's not the truth. Let's look at it. The Biden administration has cleared the way for the eventual release of 5 American citizens detained in Iran by issuing a waiver for international banks to transfer $6 billion in frozen Iranian money from South Korea to Qatar without fear of U.S. sanctions. So what had happened was South Korea already paid $6 billion for a bunch of oil from Iran. They already paid it. It already happened. They got the oil from Iran, but the money got frozen. It didn't actually make it to Iran. Why? I don't know if the oil was even delivered. But the money never went to Iran because they had to get the oil. They got the oil, but they never paid the money. And it's because South Korea was like deathly afraid of breaking the sanctions. They didn't want to piss off the United States. So instead of letting the money go through, like there was a time when I guess you could do business with Iran, but it wasn't clear. I don't know. Just out of an abundance of caution, South Korea froze the money so that Iran wouldn't actually get the $6 billion. They gave the oil, but didn't get their money. Oh well, sucks to be Iran. Well, that was that way for a long time until Biden came along and said, look, guys, fine. You can get the money that South Korea owes you as long as you release these 5 hostages. And Iran's like, fine. you give us the money that South Korea owes us. And, well, not even give us, right? Because it's going to Qatar. And then Qatar will have to hand it over to Iran. Whatever's left. Qatar might take a brokerage fee, you know? Like, oh, we got the $6 billion. look, I can give you 5 billion and keep 1 billion for me. That's the fee for holding it. Sucks to be Iran, but that's the way it is. All right. But look, Biden isn't giving money, isn't paying U.S. dollars for U.S. hostages to Iran. They're not doing it. He's not doing it. That's misinformation. People are lying to you. So you got to wonder, who is it that's lying to you, and why would they be lying to you? Why would they do it? Are they doing it to help the Republican Party? Remember, Republicans are on the same team as the Russians. Maybe not Mitch McConnell. Well, maybe Mitch McConnell. I don't know. But yeah, it's looking pretty bad. All right, what else have I got? Yeah, that's what Russia does, right? In the war, Russia kills 52 people in the single deadliest attack against civilians this year. This happened October 6th, so like 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Russian attacks on the village of Hroza in the Kharkiv Oblast, killing 52 people, injuring 6. Russian forces hit a grocery store and a cafe in the village of Hroza, Kharkiv Oblast, killing 51 people and injuring 6, including children, on October 5th. So the attack wiped out over half of the village's population. Damn, dude. So Russia spends lots of money to make these missiles and these drones. You know, they spend a ton of money. You think, all right, Russia's gonna use these weapons against their most in the most effective way possible, since it costs them so much money. So Russia, in Russian logic, the greatest threat to Russia, the greatest threat to the Russian way of life, are people going to a grocery store and eating at a cafe. That's why they had to be destroyed, because they posed a threat to Russia. How could innocent people enjoying a cafe and going grocery shopping, how could they pose a threat to Russia? Because they demonstrate to the Russian people a way of living that is better than the Russian system. The Russian system is oligarchy and corruption and power and terrible. It's evil. It's terrible. It's horrible. The Russian system is horrible. It's horrible for its people, and it's horrible for the world. But it benefits a few people at the top, the elite, the Russian elite. So the Russian elite have an incentive to keep the horrible Russian system going. In order to keep the horrible Russian system going, they need to lie to their people and convince their people that the horrible Russian way is indeed the best way possible, even though it's horrible. They have to convince their people that corruption and power, that's like the best way to do it. Because if the Russian people ever stopped believing that the Russian way was the best, if the Russian people ever said, hey guys, maybe we can do better than this. Maybe if we stopped believing the elites and started governing ourselves in a democracy, maybe things would be better. But then the Russian elite go, no, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's not true. And back in the day with the Iron Curtain, maybe they could have pulled that off because they controlled the media and there's no way you could ever get information across. But nowadays with the internet, information flows freely. The Russian can see, oh, look, people are enjoying a cafe and going to the grocery store. Their lives are better than our lives, but they live in a democracy and we live under an autocratic ruler, autocratic despot. Maybe we should change our system to their system. Oh no, that's the biggest threat to the Russian elite. If their people ever start believing that the Russian system is bad and should be replaced, the Russian elite would lose all their power. And all the goodness that flows to them would stop. So yeah, I can see why Russian elite would use a missile costing millions of dollars to blow up a supermarket, a market, and a cafe. of innocent people just living life. Like, we would call it terrorism, right? That's what we would do. We would say that that's terrorism. But for the Russian elite, it's literally a threat to their existence. Innocent people enjoying a cafe and going to the grocery store is literally a threat to the existence of the Russian elites. Because if the Russian people ever wanted to have the same kind of life, then the system that props up the Russian elites would end, and they would no longer have power. It's pretty simple. I mean, I hope it makes sense. I mean, if it's not clear, ask me. I can try to make it make more sense. But understand that Russia is a terrorist state. It uses terror in order to advance its goals. It's not about like defeating the military. It's not about having better ideas or a better system. It's not about being a model for the world. It's about projecting power and death. That's what they're all about. That's the Russian system. So terrorist states align with other terrorist states. That's why Iran is supplying Russia with drones, because Iran is a terrorist state. They have a terrorist arm, Hezbollah, that tries to advance Iranian policy through terrorist attacks. Then you have North Korea. North Korea is a terrorist state. It routinely fires missiles over Japan. Like, do you think the United States would tolerate if Mexico fired a missile over the United States and into the ocean? Do you think we would tolerate that? Do you think Mexico would tolerate it if the United States fired missiles over Mexico into the ocean? Like, all the time. Do you think Mexico would tolerate that? They would get fucking pissed. Japan is pretty upset that North Korea and South Korea, right? They're pretty upset that North Korea is firing missiles over them. That's a pretty shitty thing to do. That's a terrorist tactic. Because why is North Korea doing this? Because North Korean people are starving. Because the North Korean system is terrible and it's not sustainable. So North Korea literally starves its own people. And then it uses these terrorist tactics of escalating tensions in order to get concessions from the rest of the world. It will continue to fire missiles over our allies until we give them like food and stuff. They're like, here's food and fuel. Stop shooting missiles over our neighbors. Like, it's literally a terrorist tactic. And North Korea is supplying Russia with artillery shells. Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, I think the Republican Party is falling apart, which is good. It needs to die. I mean, their front runner is indicted, like has 91 counts of indictment against him. They control the House only through fraud. They can't elect a Speaker of the House. Yeah, I think, and it's only going to get worse. Like, next year, the trials start. Yay, the trials! Donald Trump's trials! Finally, at last. It's terrible that it's taken so long, though. We gotta think about this. How come it's taken this long? Like, look at the damage Donald Trump has been able to do in the meantime. Oh, did you hear? So remember how I told you that Donald Trump like has his own handpicked judge, Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida. She's the one who's going to oversee the documents case where he stole U.S. secrets and took them to Mar-a-Lago. but he picked her to be judge. So, and she's a dirty judge. So she's ruling in Donald Trump's favor all the time. No matter how stupid of a thing it is, she'll rule in his favor. So recently, he said, okay, guys, I demand that I get top secret clearance to look at these documents that I stole. Like, these are top secret documents that I stole that were taken back by the government, and they're being used against me. Like, they're going to use those documents against me to say that I stole them. So Donald Trump is arguing, I need to see those top secret documents so I can defend myself in court. And the government's saying, no, you don't. You don't need to know these. You don't have clearance anymore. And if you did have clearance, you can come to Washington, D.C. and see them like you should have been. So Donald Trump is like, no, I want you to build a facility in Florida, a secure so you can transfer the documents from D.C. to Florida so I can look at them. Not only me, but I also need my two co-defendants, Naruto and some other dude, who I'm paying their lawyers. So if I'm paying their lawyers, they're not actually, they're my pawns. Donald Trump is saying, these guys are my pawns. So he's saying all this stupid stuff, like, why do you need to, like, Donald Trump wants them to build a brand new facility in Florida just so his co-defendants who stole the documents can look at them and defend themselves against what they said what they stole. They don't need to see them, but that's what they want to do. Isn't that dumb? What a dumb thing. Well, Eileen Cannon went ahead and gave them the delay. Eileen Cannon went ahead and said, you know what, let's take 2 months to figure this out. That's why the DC case is going to finish before the Mar-a-Lago case. Even though the Mar-a-Lago case came first, even though the judge is on Team Donald Trump. So she's going to delay it for as long as absolutely possible, probably till after the election. Because that's what Donald Trump wants. He didn't want the trial until after the election. So she's probably going to delay it till that long. The Florida case, but we still have the DC case to watch, and we have the Georgia indictment. So that's another good one, the Georgia indictment. So yeah, the Republican Party is in shambles. And they're mask off. They're Nazis. They're fascists, Confederates. And Russia's doing poorly, dude. They're getting their asses kicked. Like, what's this latest? They lost 5 more drones, 17 more artillery, 21 tanks. Dude, tanks are expensive. Like, that's a lot of tanks to lose. All those vehicles and fuel tanks. If you don't have fuel tanks, you can't resupply your tanks. So, like, losing fuel tanks is like almost as bad as losing a tank. Armored personnel vehicles, a shit ton of troops. Yeah, they took out a sub, man. The Ukrainians, without a navy, took out a sub. That's awesome. So here. To be clear, Trump party got elected because he claimed that his 2016 opponent, who had a secure private email server, couldn't be trusted with the nation's secrets. Breaking. Months after leaving office, Trump allegedly discussed potentially sensitive information about U.S. nuclear submarines with a member of Mar-a-Lago, an Australian billionaire, who then allegedly shared the information with scores of others. So Donald Trump is sitting there fucking blabbing U.S. secrets to all his billionaire buddies, dude. Because why are they okay? Because they're the elites. See, Donald Trump is the elite. That's why he's allied with Vladimir Putin. They both want a system of power whereby the elites control everything and go unchecked. They're both on the same team. So here's some good news, right? Here's some good news. Arizona Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs has terminated the Saudi water leases in her state that were originally granted by the former Republican leadership. So previously in Arizona, the Republicans gave the Saudis a massive deal. The Saudi Arabian government would control like a ton of groundwater in Arizona, and they would use it to grow alfalfa so they could feed it to the cattle that would go to Saudi Arabia. Isn't that a great deal for the Arizona people to use their water to make steak for Saudi Arabian royalty? Isn't that awesome? Right? No, it's terrible. What a terrible deal. It was a terrible deal. But the new Democratic governor canceled the deal, saying, no, you can't do that. You can't take our water to make steaks for Saudi royalty. Nice try, Republicans. Alabama, dude. So remember how I told you that the Republicans only have the House because they cheated? Let me show you how they cheated. So this was the map drawn by Republicans. This is the map drawn by Republicans in like 2016, 2015. They were sued like immediately by saying, yo, dude, this map that you made is a racist map. You can't tell on here, but it pretty much eliminates the black vote. It cuts them up into little pieces and eliminates them. So black people have zero representation in the state of Alabama. They're like 40% of the population, man, or some huge percent of the population. I don't know how much, but they have zero representation. So they were sued. The government was sued. The white supremacist government was sued. And it went to the Supreme Court. And what did the Supreme Court do? They delayed it. They delayed it for months and months and months. And they said, you know what? Go ahead and use that racist map. So they used this not in 2016, 2020. So they used this racist map in the 2020 election. And because of it, no Democrats won. No black people got representation. The Republicans won because they used this racist map. And because in Alabama and in Louisiana, they did this. They took away votes. They took away House seats from the Democrats and gave them to Republicans. And that's why Republicans barely have control of the House of Representatives because of shit like this. After the election was over, after the Republicans already took these seats with with this fake wrong map. Afterwards, then the Supreme Court said, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's a bad map. Why don't you redo it? It's too late, guys. It's too late. They already fucking used it. Oh. So they redrew the map. And you can see the black districts that got cut into pieces has been made whole. They have their own districts now. So now instead of having zero representation in Alabama, they have 2 districts. These are going to be Democratic districts. Whereas before they were cut up and destroyed and turned into Republican districts, now they're Democratic districts. But it's too late. They already used this bad map in order to take control of the House. And now look what happened to the House. The House is utterly fucking wrecked right now because Republicans don't actually have a majority. Democracy works if everyone plays the game, and Republicans are increasingly not playing the game. What else do I got here? All right, one bit of information here. This is a chart detailing temperatures. Monthly temperature anomalies. Anomaly. So what this is saying is that September is way, way, way hotter than it should have been. Just like July was hotter than it should have been. Just like June was hotter than it should have been. I'm telling you, 2023 is the tipping point year. It's gonna get fucking bad. Like, it's October, man, and people are running their air conditioners. Anyways, that was a good story. I should share the good story before I go. This is a short. This is relatively short, huh? Oh, I forgot to record. That's okay. I'm gonna pull this up really quick. Yeah, you know what? I didn't really pull too much today. This week. I don't know. I think I'm getting tired of it. I mean, I don't know. It's up and down. All right, check this out. This is cool, dude. I think this is great. For the first time, scientists observed creation of matter from light. One of the most fascinating implications of Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared, is that matter and energy are interchangeable. Right? Haven't we been saying that? Matter can neither be, or energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. You can only, like, yeah, you can't create or destroy energy. You can't create or destroy energy. You can only transform it. And this equation, E equals mc squared, what this means is that the energy that you get is the matter that you lose times the speed of light squared. So it seems pretty simple, right? And it's kind of weird. I don't understand it, like why it would be that simple, but it's pretty simple. So so like you have like one kilogram of stuff, and you shave off like 1 gram of that kilogram. So you have 999 grams, and you take off 1 gram. You take that 1 gram and you times it by the speed of light squared. So it's like 300,000 or something. 300 million. It's like 300 million or something. 400 million. Maybe even more than that. Like huge number. It's a huge number. And that means that's the energy. That's the energy you get off of just 1 gram of matter. That's how much energy you get. Huge amount of stuff, of energy. That's why nuclear power is so good, because you get material that's really dense, and you just change a little tiny part of that material and you get a lot of energy out of it. That's why we like nuclear power. Well, you can reverse it. If you get a shit ton of energy, you can you can condense it to the point where you can make matter. You can make stuff out of energy. You get stuff out of just energy, electricity. In other words, it should be possible to create matter from pure energy, such as light. This process, known as matter creation or paired production, was first proposed by the physicists Gregory Bright and John Wheeler in 1934. However, it has remained elusive for decades, as it requires extremely high energy photons to collide with each other and produce electron-positron pairs. So electron-positron, it's like matter, antimatter. Basically, you get two photons. So photons have no mass. Photons are just light packets. They have no mass, but they have a lot of energy, right? If you get a shit ton of energy in one and a shit ton of energy in another, even though they have no mass, if you can get them to hit each other, they'll combine and create electron and positron. A positron is the antimatter of the electron. So that's what they did. They used the relativistic heavy ion collider. Here, keep reading it. Oh no, it's gone. They use the Hadron Collider, intense electromagnetic fields that contain the virtual photons, which are short-lived disturbances in the fields that behave like real photons. Remember virtual photons? They're virtual because they don't exist long enough to make any any change in reality. Like reality right now, all like in empty space, there's nothing in empty space, right? Pure vacuum, literally no anything. So scientists will say empty space is not empty, it is constantly like fluctuating. Photons are appearing and disappearing all the time. Oh, not photons, but like quarks and shit, appearing and disappearing all the time. But they happen so fast that it doesn't ever interact with anything, so it doesn't actually like do anything. So it's not real. It's not real because it's never there long enough to do anything. That's why it's virtual. But if you can provide it energy, you can make it real. So the way you can see that is on the edge of a black hole. Remember I told you about black holes? They have their event horizon, at which everything that gets sucked in can never come back out. So all over the place, there's these things are appearing and disappearing. Sure, like you could have like an electron appear out of nowhere, but it also, in order for that to happen, it also has to create a positron that also appears out of nowhere. And since they both appear, they fucking instantly annihilate each other. So that they're virtual. They never exist long enough to interact with anything. That's why they're virtual. But at the edge of a black hole, when that happens, and you're on the very, very event horizon, sometimes the two particles the virtual particles appear out of nowhere. But before they can annihilate each other, because that's what they're going to do, before they can do that, the black hole pulls away the antiparticle, the negative particle. It pulls away the negative particle, which means the virtual positive particle doesn't get annihilated and becomes a real particle and flies off. So black holes can do it. Black holes do it. But that's a lot of energy, right? And this is like the first time that humans have been able to reproduce the same thing. They're doing the same thing, right? When two ions pass by each other without colliding, some of their virtual photons interacted and it turned into real photons. Oh, no, they didn't collide. Okay. When two ions pass by each other without colliding, so two of them, boom, some of their virtual photons interacted and turned into real photons with very high energy. These photons then collided with each other and produced electron-positron pairs, which were detected by the star detector at RHIC. The scientists analyzed more than 6,000 such pairs and found that their angular distribution matched the theoretical prediction for matter creation from light. The experiment not only confirms long-standing predictions of quantum electrodynamics, but also demonstrates a new way of studying the properties of matter and antimatter in extreme conditions. Yeah, dude. So they didn't collide. The two particles flew past each other, and I guess they had virtual particles that hit each other or interacted. I don't get it. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They turned light into stuff. That's like the first step toward like Star Trek replicators, right? They do the same thing. Star Trek replicators, they just beam down the stuff you want into your little microwave. So we're getting there bit by bit, right? If you give us enough time. The key is to not kill ourselves. and war will tend to do that. We gotta find a way to like not kill ourselves. I think a way to do that is to make energy like a lot more available to humans and distribute it a lot more equitably and justly. Our problems stem from injustice in the world. If we didn't have injustice in the world, then we wouldn't have these problems. We'd have other problems, but they wouldn't be compounded by injustice, at least. So, and I guess the goals of humans should be, let's keep ourselves together. Let's not like die before we can achieve these great things, such as creating Star Trek replicators and downloading a car. That would be cool. Okay. Clarity. I want you guys to move forward with clear minds. Like, you're gonna go meet your family pretty soon for Thanksgiving. So it's good to be armed with knowledge about what's going on and also know about the disinformation being pushed. So, all right, until next time, Pogo Kiddo out. Peace. Stop.